Good evening. Aloha from Florida. So the last few days I've been watching the moon. It's right there now. Getting more and more full. It is waxing right now. And tomorrow it'll be almost a full moon in a blue sky. You know what I'm going to say, don't you? That's an impossibility on their heliocentric nonsense delusion hypothesis. You would not see an almost full moon in a blue sky if the sun were huge and 93 million miles behind the moon. You would see a tiny sliver of the moon, or maybe a tiny bit more, or none of it even. It's ridiculous to look at what we see with our own eyes and then trust what we were taught by the government indoctrination camps about the earth and astronomy. Some people want to say, well, come on, dude, this flat earth is so stupid. We've known that the earth is a sphere for 2,000 years. No, we haven't. Whoever we are that was here 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, it wasn't you and me. It wasn't us. It was a civilization before us. And all of them, whether it was the Egyptians or the Babylonians or, probably the oldest cosmology is the Vedic cosmology, in my opinion. All of the ancient cultures depicted the earth as flat and stationary with the sky over us like a dome, like the whole entire earth system was an enclosed system through all the depictions of the earth from the ancient cosmologies. We've studied dozens of them. So this argument is another false claim by the pseudoscience community that we've known the earth is round for 2,000 years. No, we have not. The entire heliocentric nonsense in history, if you can even trust the historical narrative of the government scriptures, only goes back about 500 years. And I think, honestly, this is just my opinion right now, it's only been going for 150 or 200 years. Whatever reset has happened that wiped out humanity or wiped out a civilization before us, or possibly multiple civilizations before us, we honestly don't know what year it is. You think it's the year 2023. What if it's the year 1023 or 1223? There's theories that say both of those numbers might be correct. But it's certainly not the year 2023 with a bunch of pathetic little primitive humans that lived 500 years ago that built unbelievable, amazing structures everywhere across the surface of our flat earth with obvious knowledge of energy and frequency and vibrations, building these huge structures with perfect symmetry, sacred geometry, and cymatic patterns built right into the buildings. That wasn't my great-great-great-great-grandfather's, and it wasn't yours either. There was another civilization here, probably not too long ago, within the last 400 or 500 years, it seems to be, that knew so much more about our enclosed earth and how things work here, and built those buildings in perfect alignment to the solstices and the equinoxes. We don't build anything like that stuff today. There's a lot of them still remaining, and a lot of them were destroyed intentionally. Go research the St. Louis World's Fair. Go research the Chicago World's Fair. Go research the World's Fair in Brazil. Go research any and all old world fairs back around the year 1880 to 1920, all through there, and look at those buildings. Chicago looks like what you would think of as ancient Rome. But here's the deal about these buildings. They're not Greco and they're not Roman. Ancient Greece people didn't build them. Romans didn't build them. The Catholics sure as hell did not build the Vatican. Americans did not build the Capitol buildings. Even the Capitol buildings in our actual capital of Washington, D.C., we inherited all those buildings and repurposed them. Most of the old world ancient buildings were inherited and repurposed as government buildings, colleges or universities, and religious buildings or churches. The cathedrals that you know of today as ancient buildings from 500 years ago, those were never churches or cathedrals for worshiping your version of whoever God is, whatever version of religion that you have subscribed to. Those buildings were not built as Christian buildings or Muslim buildings or Jewish buildings. Those buildings were built by a civilization here before us who knew the earth was flat and stationary. So this argument is so beyond stupid when you hear these pseudoscientists claim, come on, the guys, flat earth is so dumb. We've known the earth is round like a ball for 2,000 years. No, we haven't. Everyone 2,000 years ago, whoever they were, they knew with absolute certainty, and with the architecture that they created all across the surface of the flat Earth, they knew the Earth was flat and stationary. So you can believe whatever you want to believe, but if you actually trust your own eyes and research reality and start researching some history as well. I mean, if you want to have a good laugh, just go do a Wikipedia search for some of these old buildings and listen to the stories they tell. Some of these massive, huge buildings were allegedly erected in 1 year in the late 1800s and early 1900s, before power tools, before electricity. Massive stone buildings with art all over them. The sculptures are almost as impossible as the buildings themselves. And yet, go read some Wikipedia descriptions of these buildings, the claims that they make, and you will crack up if you actually think about what they're saying, that people with horse and buggy technology built these buildings, some of them in 1 year. You couldn't even build those buildings in 1 year today with all the technology that we have. So, who were the people? I don't know. Did they think the Earth was a globe? No, absolutely not. Hell no. They knew that the Earth was flat and stationary, just as I do. So remember, those of you who think it's crazy that flat earthers think the Earth is flat, we don't think the Earth is flat. We know it is. So that's it for now. I ranted enough. Have a good night. God bless.